What is up, and welcome to Brett's Bets. As you know, this is where we pick winners in a handful of college football matchups each week to prove our expertise. Now, we do use gambling spreads in terminology, but we don't condone gambling, particularly if it's not legal where you are, because we're not built for prison. This is for entertainment only. Unfortunately, the expert isn't here yet. He's running a little bit late, but that does give me a chance to talk about something that's been on my mind all of college football season. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so if you're subscribed to this channel, you know that we did individual team previews for the entire SEC. And as someone who's a college football fan, a fan of an SEC team, someone who can get a little bit crazy about my team, I know that when I go to post something like that, if I'm saying that someone's team isn't going to go undefeated, they're not going to win the national championship, then I'm going to get some blowback. Because, I mean, it's preseason when this is going out, and that's when hopes are at their highest. That's when people are their most unrealistic. And as someone who follows college football, I'm also pretty aware of which fan bases I can expect the most blowback from. And I feel like it's not really a secret that throughout college football, Texas A&M fans are known as essentially a cult. Basically, I mean, they're weirdos. They take everything personally. They're generally unhinged in a nerdy kind of way. Sure enough, that's who we got the angriest responses from based on what we said about them in the college football preview. So what did we say that was so egregious? Well, we said that Jimbo Fisher isn't really a good coach, and that kind of seems to be true. We also made jokes about how they hired the most morally bankrupt coordinators they could find in a sport that's known for being morally bankrupt. We also referenced Bobby Petrino's infamous motorcycle crash that led to his affair with an athletic department staffer being exposed. And I think the big thing that we said was that we didn't think they were going to be good this year, at least not as good as they think they're going to be. And the hate came fast and furious. People talking about us cursing too much. To them, I say, fuck you. How our opinions and analysis are worthless, and that's why we have less than 100 subscribers on YouTube. Well, guess what? Now we have over 100, so fuck you as well. And then there's this marathon of a comment where this person takes issue with us making more jokes than analysis, us expecting a team who spent boatloads of NIL money on recruiting to have depth and talent behind their starters, and not praising Bobby Petrino for leading some school you've never heard of to the playoffs. My favorite part of this was him saying that despite typing out his own version of War and Peace, was that he's not upset by anything that we said. And I gotta say, even knowing Aggie fans, I was shocked at this response. I mean, I thought we were pretty reasonable. I didn't think our jokes had any low blows or anything. I mean, we didn't bring up the fact that their mascot is Lassie, or get into specifics about defensive coordinator DJ Durkin, go ahead and Google that, or take any shots at their infamous yell leaders and their goofy, corny chants. It felt relatively tame given how much material we have at our disposal. But hey, it is what it is. College football fans are gonna college football fan. I mean, I've been guilty of it myself, but I do have to address one specific part of this comment. This person says that we need to be more careful with how we talk about teams, since fans of those teams are going to be the one watching the videos. Now, could you imagine if that's how everybody made content, just pandering to every fan base to satisfy the worst of the worst? I think I speak for Brett and the expert when I say we're not going to do that. We're going to call things how we see them. We're going to tell it like it is. We're going to give our analysis. We're going to make our jokes because we don't need you to like us. We don't need to get along. Matter of fact, there's the expert logging on now. Mr. Expert, I don't know how much of that you heard, but the floor is yours. If you have anything to add to my thoughts about not pandering to Aggie fans, maybe tell them how you see it and let them know we're not sorry.
All right, brothers. Let's come together. Let me tell you a little story about a man named Brett. Once upon a time, Brett earned the respect of everyone in College Station with his hard-hitting, accurate analysis of college football. And then it was time for Brett to go onto the big stage on the Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silver's podcast. And what did Brett do? He shit the bed. He lost the respect of Aggie Nation and said Jimbo Fisher sucked. Texas A&M was terrible. And Bobby Petrino was a joke. But let me tell you something, friends. Brett is very, very sorry.
All right. Not really sure why I expected anything different. So, game 1, what a coincidence. The 2-2 Arkansas Razorbacks take on the 3-1 Texas A&M Aggies in Arlington, Texas on Saturday at noon on the SEC Network. Mr. Expert, the rest of our journalistic credibility is yours.
And to prove to you just how sorry he is, and to earn back the respect of Aggie Nation, he's picking Texas A&M -6.5 against Arkansas. Let me tell you something. We played this game back last year in Jerry World, and Texas A&M won with Max Johnson at quarterback. Well, guess who's back at quarterback? Max Johnson. Did he have a good game last year? No, but he still won, Aggies. So we're taking him again. And let me tell you a little something about that -6.5 line. A&M gets blistered in Miami. Arkansas looks fantastic last week, so you think Arkansas might be favored. Well, no. They're almost a touchdown underdog, which I think's a little fishy. This fishing rod ain't just for Jimbo Fisher. It's for that fishy, fishy line. If you're wondering where the rest of it went, I broke it off in a motorcycle accident. Sorry. But real bettors like me, real professionals know that when something looks too good to be true, it is. So we're going to take Texas A&M, buck the public, buck all the trends, Aggies -6.5.
Thank you for censoring yourself on behalf of the fans who are complaining about our language. Is there anything else you'd like to share with your newfound friends in Aggie land?
We're not done yet. We're going to pick 2 more games for you. So first off, let's start out with a little story about Marcus Freeman.
Okay, great. So before we proceed, I do want to make it perfectly clear that this is my own personal hell. All right, continue.
So Marcus Freeman traveled down to Durham, North Carolina, and he went to a nice firearms proprietor to get him a new rifle. And he said, "Sir, I'd like a rifle with a nice classic stock." Well, the gun store owner went in the back, and he come back with the Notre Dame defense. All 10 of them. And Marcus Freeman said, "Well, thank you, but I asked for a classic stock." And the gun owner said, "Oh, I thought you said a laughing stock." Notre Dame defense couldn't hold on in the key moments. Well, I got news for him. Riley Leonard, the best quarterback in college football except for like 3 or 4 other guys, he's going to take it to Notre Dame, and we're getting 5 points. We're going Duke Blue Devils over Notre Dame +5.
To recap, that is number 11 Notre Dame at number 17 Duke, Saturday 7:30 on ABC. And despite what my girlfriend says, I am more handsome than Marcus Freeman. His beard is just lined up incredibly well. Anyways, your final game, Mr. Expert.
All right, Aggies, we've got 1 more game to pick, and we're going to take the South Carolina Gamecocks over those no count, good for nothing, mountain humping, raccoon hat wearing Tennessee Volunteers. South Carolina goes on the road to Neyland Stadium and is getting 12.5 points. What? With Joe Milton at quarterback? Easy. South Carolina secondary looked pretty bad last week, but let me tell you something. They were facing Will Rogers, who is almost as good as Connor Wegman and Mac Johnson. He's very good. Joe Milton ain't. We're taking South Carolina. But in all seriousness, Aggie fans, I do have to say there was a tragedy in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we do want to say a prayer for our Tennessee brothers. This week, there was a fire on the campus of Tennessee and several dorm rooms burned down. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but several books did burn up. And the real tragedy was, none of them had been colored yet. Ha ha ha! Gamecocks, plus 12.5.
All right, and that is South Carolina heading to Tennessee to take on the number 21 Vols Saturday night at 7:30 on the SEC Network. That's enough of this. I'm done. That will do it for another episode of Brett's Bets. Appreciate you watching, liking, subscribing, rating, reviewing, and sharing. And we will catch you next week.